Hey everybody, thank you so much for joining us. I cannot believe it is the last session of the Student Zone of Microsoft Build 2021. Chloe, how did we even get here? Didn't we just kick it off?
It feels like just yesterday because it was kind of yesterday. I guess it was
Kind of.
technically 24 hours ago that we did or maybe 48 hours ago that we did our very first opening session for the Student Zone at Build. But I feel like I've learned so much over the last couple hours. Oh my goodness.
I
Morgan,
know.
you've been up all morning. You've been helping out with the zone. You've been in the zone like Britney Spears all morning. How has it been? I just
It
woke
has
up.
been awesome. I don't blame you seeing it just hit 6 a.m. Pacific time. Chloe and I are coming to you live. This is not a recording. For proof, I went with another pair of geeky earrings today, Chloe.
Yeah, I guess we do
Uh,
have to clarify we're wearing the same shirts, but it is a different day.
because
We
these are
just
our
really
team
wanted to
shirts. We
coordinate.
love them. Yes, so this earlier this morning we had two amazing sessions. We had Jen who showed this awesome trading card app for the Olympics. Made it super easy for people to follow along, GitHub repo, the whole 9 yards. Everybody's like, I need to go back and watch this. And then we had a great session about some M365 development. They talked about their developer program and then how you can actually use that to build out a gathering hub
Ooh.
to watch the NBA or Space Jam with your friends. So those were super cool. They definitely kept me awake, even though I woke up at 2:30 this morning, I think.
Oh my goodness. We're gonna send over some coffee and some breakfast to you. Wake you
Thank
up.
you.
Maybe take a little nap after this session because you got to absorb. Here's my tip to anybody out there. If this is your first, maybe it's even your first technical conference. I always need to kind of marinate in the info. So if you're feeling overwhelmed by the amount of info you've learned in the student zone or at Build, go take a walk. Don't worry, because all the sessions are going to be available online later. So you can check them out later. If you missed anything, we're going to have all those resources. But very important, we should mention our Microsoft Digital Code of Conduct.
Yes.
Please read it and be kind to everyone in the chat. This is the Student Zone, of course, and with any online event, we want you to be kind to everyone else. So please make sure that you pay attention to our code of conduct, y'all.
Yes, please do. But everybody's been so nice in the chat so far, so keep it up. Last session, it's been great seeing people interact. Like, hi, I'm from India. In the last session, there was somebody that I met from South Korea, somebody from
Wow.
Germany. It's just great getting to interact with people, even if not in person yet, even just being able to do so on the chat. So if you haven't already, introduce yourself on the chat. We would love to hear where everybody is from. Um, it always amazes me how people all around the globe can join us so easily, and that is one of the huge benefits I will have to say about having the event virtual like this.
You know what I loved was when we did our first session way back, 48 hours ago. We opened up
Uh-huh.
the student zone. Someone posted a picture, and it was of their computer, and it was you and I on the computer, but it was nighttime, and it was daytime where we were. I believe it was in India, and I thought, oh my gosh, how cool! Previously at Build, we all had to be in person, and now anybody all around the world can join us. I love it. So thank you all for joining us in the student zone this year. It's so cool to have so many folks joining us. I'm so excited, especially for this session. But before we go into our really cool thing that we're going to be building in this session, don't worry, we have lots of time, y'all. I feel
We're
like we
getting
need to
there.
do a highlight reel of all the awesome things that we have seen and heard at Build and the Student Zone. I don't know about you, Morgan, but I did you watch the Imagine Cup World Championship final announcement?
Really, Chloe, you would think that I didn't watch it? Come on.
I was so excited. Morgan, for people who don't know what the Imagine Cup is, could you explain it to the lovely future winners of the Imagine Cup maybe watching in the student zone right now?
Yeah, I definitely think they're here. So the Imagine Cup is this amazing competition. We host it every single year. And actually, this upcoming year is our 20th anniversary of the Imagine Cup. Time flies. But the Imagine Cup is a competition for student developers just like yourself to work on teams to actually create solutions to problems using technology, using Azure. And it's so neat seeing all the submissions from all around the world. We get a ton of submissions, and then in competition style, there's different levels that you can get to. You get mentorship from Microsoft employees, from other people too. You get to meet phenomenal people. And then, of course, we have some amazing prizes for the champions. They're going to get a mentorship session with our CEO, Satya, which
So
I am
cool.
super jealous of. I want to meet Satya one
I'm like,
day.
can we? Okay, Morgan, here's my idea. You and I, we're going to disguise ourselves as
Okay.
students, and we're going to
Yep.
compete. Oh, maybe we can't. We're Microsoft employees. Okay, scratch that. We're just going to live vicariously through the students, I guess. I guess we'll have to settle for that.
I guess so. But they
But
get that, Chloe. I think it's 75,000 US dollars equivalent this year. It's
so
just
cool.
what a cool opportunity. And I really love that these students are finding real world problems and are actually going out and solving them and implementing these things. I oftentimes get asked by students, hey, I want to work in tech, I want to work at Microsoft. What's your advice to me? And one of my biggest pieces of advice is build things for real world applications. So maybe find a nonprofit where you live, or maybe even ask, like, hey, grandma, do you have something that would help you out? Maybe some sort of automation process. Or maybe there's a local business that's struggling. I know a lot of people around the world really are right now, and a lot of businesses are. Maybe if you're practicing web development, you can offer to build them a page. And so there are just so many amazing opportunities. But the great part about that is you would actually be building a portfolio of your work, showing what you're capable of and can do, and then also people can see you're empathetic, that you really care about the customer and that you care about other people. And building your own personal website is a great way to be able to showcase that portfolio. And of course, having a GitHub.
Yes, which we're going to be diving into a GitHub here in a second. But I have to say, Morgan, did you watch Satya's opening remarks? Because I could not agree more with what you were saying. What I thought was really cool about the Imagine Cup is all of the finalists were all from different social impact kind of categories, right? Our
Yeah.
winning team, Team Reweba, they have this amazing device that helps with infant medical care that can be done remotely. We had hands-on labs that was helping with labs that you can participate in from far away. We had ProTag, which cows, tracking cows, making sure that the environment is good and our cows are safe. I just think it's so cool when people are able to build these products that can help solve problems. Speaking of inspiring students, I got to work with a really awesome group this past year called BidCamp, and just like what you mentioned, one of the students said, "You know what? I want to build something. I've never built anything with IoT before, but I want to build something for my grandpa so I can know if his heart rate goes up or down. It'll send me a text message alert." And he built that all with Azure. Never played with IoT before, never played with
Wow.
Azure before, and it was so cool, especially to see him demo it because he did jumping jacks to get his heart rate up. So that was a pretty cool demo. But it's just like you said, finding these problems. If you're looking for a project that you want to do, find these problems, figure out how to solve them. And that's what makes me so excited for the Student Zone, because the people here in the zone are future problem solvers of the world. And it makes me so excited. I believe
They
the
are.
children are our future, just like Whitney Houston. So,
And Chloe, I think another thing that we should just note to all of the students out there watching, and once again, a student can be anybody. You could be in grade school, you could be in university, you could be in a coding boot camp, you could be looking to change careers. We recognize all of you as students, and we are so glad that you're joining us in the Student Zone. And if you so happen to be one of those students that's enrolled in college or university, you should absolutely check out our Microsoft Student Ambassador program. Our student
yes.
ambassadors, you actually apply as a part of the process, and we select new cohorts 4 times a year, I believe. And these student ambassadors, we bring into our community, we help teach them and interact with them. So if you've enjoyed interacting with us here here in the Student Zone. We are the team that you would be interacting with if you do become a student ambassador. And then we actually give student ambassadors the resources and the training to go help other people in their community learn too about development, about coding, about Azure and the cloud. And I think it's such a cool opportunity for students to learn, but to also make an impact for good in their community, and also a great kind of head start to add to your resume to show those leadership abilities. And also, networking. We have student ambassadors from all over the globe, and so it's a great way to meet new people too.
Absolutely. Another program that I wish I could pretend to be a student and be a part of, but I guess I'll have to settle as a mentor and an advisor. If I must. I feel like I missed out on all this cool Microsoft stuff when I was a student. So I'm just living vicariously through all the students of today. But just like you said, anybody can be a student. I know, Morgan, you have a more traditional path with a 4-year degree, but I myself am a boot camp grad. So I am here to say that if you are just learning, maybe this is even your first technical event and you're thinking, what is this coding thing? Maybe it's something I'm interested in. Let us know how we can help you. If you are in the chat, let us know what your favorite session was in the Student Zone this year. I didn't get to see all of them because I was snoozing through a couple of them, so I have to go back and watch them. Where can people watch the previous videos, Morgan? Hypothetically, let's just say I was snoozing in the morning during one of my coworkers' awesome sessions that I really want to see. Where could I go check that out?
Well, Chloe, if you go to the build page and anything you saved to your backpack already, you've RSVP'd to, or, you can just do a quick search and you can filter by student zone. All of the recordings from all of our live sessions will be up there within the next day or two. Actually, a bunch are already up there, including our opening session, Chloe. I was excited to see that show up. I definitely shared it on my Twitter and my Instagram. Also, like Chloe said earlier, thank you for all of the amazing shout outs on Twitter and Instagram. We love seeing where you're watching from. We love seeing your setup. We love hearing about what you're super excited about. But yes, if you happen to miss anything, or maybe you watched a session, but you got kind of lost in there because it was a new technology or framework, or you didn't have the right thing installed, don't worry about it at all. Go back, watch it, pause and play at your own pace. And yeah, and our resources are going to be up there. I know that they're sharing the resources in the chat as well. So definitely make sure that you have all of those links saved, because they will be super useful moving forward.
So, on the Build website where you can go in and you can join the session or you can add it to your backpack. So I was doing that the other day. I was adding all the talks to my backpack, and I kept picturing my backpack just being huge, just having a giant backpack because I saved so many sessions. And then our coworker, Max, posted on Twitter a picture of this really big backpack. And I was like, that is me. That is my Student Zone backpack, just full of every session, waiting to watch it later.
You know what made me laugh about the backpacks, Chloe? You can add people to your backpack, like you can save their profile so you can go watch their sessions. And I was like,
so many people in my backpack.
Probably need a better way to put that. I mean, I'm 5'9". I can't imagine fitting in somebody's backpack. And Chloe, actually,
we've got talks in our backpack. Everything's in our backpack.
Exactly. And, we were just talking about some of our favorite sessions, and I loved the session with Stanley G. Love, real life astronaut. I was already excited about it because I'm such a space geek. Love all of that stuff. I know I mentioned our opening session. I'm Team Star Trek. Don't come at me. But it was so cool not only hearing about space, because, I think that's what we always think about, but he was talking about starting really in the depths of our own Earth, in the ocean, and then working our way up, and just our understanding of everything. I think one of the things that I had never thought of before, and trust me, I have been to many NASA space centers and laboratories and everything else, and he made a great point when somebody asked about, hey, do we have a protocol if we make first contact, like with aliens? And he said, with other sentient beings, we already have them here on Earth. I mean, we look at primates and we look at dolphins and how smart they are, how much of even our DNA we share with them, and we can't understand them. And so it's like, who knows if we'd even be able to communicate, Right. And I just thought that was fascinating. That's like, yeah, you're absolutely right. We always assume that it's going to be some creature on 2 feet, and we'll have some translator because they speak languages in the same cadence and even at the same like wavelengths as us. And so that just kind of blew my mind, Chloe.
You know, now that I think of it, dolphins are kind of alien-like, and they're a little too smart. So this is putting dolphins in a whole new light for me.
Well, we do have a paperclip that knows how
Yeah,
to communicate
that's
effectively,
true.
so anything is possible. And oh my gosh, thank you all for posting in the chat about what you've learned and what your favorite things are, Chloe. It looks like we've had a bunch of answers. Ash Asher responded, says a lot about developer life, some VS Code, some web dev.
Oh, VS Code.
Annika, sorry if I pronounced your name wrong. She said almost everything, which is awesome. Phoebe said probably a bit cliche, but I enjoyed hearing about how to become a software developer. I'm seeing a bunch about VS Code and LiveShare and CodeTour resources to get started and learn. Um, and then, of course, somebody said, I loved every part of MS Build, especially with Satya Nadella, Morgan Bell, and Chloe Condon.
Oh, thank you so much. And Clippy.
Oh, and Clippy, of course.
I have had so much fun in the zone. It has been so cool to learn so many different things. And just like you mentioned with the space, the interview with it was Dr. Love, right? I
Yeah.
think it's so cool that all of this stuff is open sourced because in a lot of ways NASA is sort of open sourced space stuff. And I feel like the Student Zone is open source developer career, like getting started stuff. And I'm so glad we have all of you here to learn with us. Oh my gosh, what a treat. What a dream. We may have the
Exactly.
future Satya. Oh, wait, we have to, Morgan, I need to give
What?
my favorite update from the Student Zone.
Uh-oh.
Shortly after you and I did our opening session and talked about my favorite feature of VS Code Pets, which, if you're not
Yes.
familiar, y'all, it's my favorite extension. It is a little pet that you can add to your VS Code instance, and you can have a cat, a dog, Clippy, a crab, so many different options. And we got an exclusive update on Twitter that the newest VS Code pet is going to be a pet rock. And I'm so excited. A little pet rock. I asked if it's going to be animated because I'm thinking rock's pretty, stationary. It will be
Mm-hmm.
animated. So I saw a bunch of people tweet at me that they added the VS Code pet extension. Get on it, y'all. It's going to be a VS Code pet party, like little Tamagotchis in our code. I'm so excited.
Yeah. If you are going to go add a VS Code pet, take a screenshot, snap a picture with your phone camera, post it, tag us. We want to see it. We want to know what your favorite VS Code pet is. I love how much fun it can be too. I think a lot of people think that software development and coding is boring and it's only, for the nerds. And I mean, I personally prefer the term geek, but that's just me, as you could tell from my handle, live, love, geek. But I love how we can make these things fun, how we can make them approachable, and really how technology does help us solve real world problems.
I mean, what I loved about our first session where we talked to Luann and Nana Appa was they both had hobbies outside of what they did in tech. Like Nana Appa is double majoring in architecture. Morgan, I hack Furbies. I have this Furby here. I like to hack weird toys. We all have things that we do outside, which what a great segue. Morgan, have you ever heard of MakeCode? Have you ever heard of this cool thing right here that I'm holding in my hand?
That is so cool. Is that a microbit, Chloe?
This is Microbit, and I guess this isn't an exclusive because people clicked on this session and they know what we're going to be talking about in this session. But just like I was saying, much like I started just playing around and hacking with these Furbies here and doing fun things with them, there are really cool, fun things that you can do that you can actually tangibly hold with your hands. I know for most of the sessions that we've done, it's all been code that we've written in our browser or in the terminal or in VS Code. But I'm thinking maybe to close out build, we inspire the students with a really cool project that we can build right in our browser. And I'm just showing this as a little prop here. But as you mentioned, Morgan, this is a microbit. Shout
Yep.
us out in the chat if you've ever played with a microbit. They're very cool. What do we notice here, y'all? We've got some buttons. We've got two buttons on the side. We've
I think
got
those things
this.
light up in the middle, right?
Yeah, this is a 5 by 5 grid. I got it right, right? 5 by 5 grid of LEDs. And then if you're new to programming or new to software or new to hardware, don't worry, this may be a little overwhelming looking, but this kind of looks like the inside of a computer, huh, Morgan? This is like a microchip or something.
It
But this
does.
actually has a bunch of really cool features. This very flat, thin thing has all sorts of awesome things on here. It's got a processor, a compass, an accelerometer. It's got pins on here, so I can put it into something. And Morgan, should we tell them about this awesome project our friend Sarah made? Should we tell them? Should we show them the cool,
Um,
cool stuff?
I think they deserve to see this project. It is so much fun. And you know what the cool thing is, Chloe, is you were just showing this little device, and of course people can order one for themselves if you don't already have one. But of course, because we want to make technology accessible to everybody, we actually have a virtual version too on MakeCode, which is a
Yeah.
phenomenal product that's actually created here at Microsoft. And MakeCode has a ton of different things that you could do with it. Chloe, could you go over just one tab to MakeCode for me?
Sure. Here
So
we go.
make so MakeCode actually has a bunch of different tutorials, a bunch of different things that you can do. So let's just scroll down the page, Chloe, and show them what we got.
Oh
So
my
Microbit, which
goodness.
we just talked about, Circuit
Microbit's
Playground
great.
Express, which I know is one of your favorites. Didn't you have some crazy story from Build a couple years ago with one?
Oh my goodness. So Circuit Playground Express, we had a couple hundred of these that we were giving out, maybe 1,000, who knows, billion, million. We were giving out at Build in 2019.
Yep.
And our coworker Cassie was doing all this really cool stuff. You could like get a shoelace and kind of look like Iron Man, like have it. I put one on my
Or
shoe, I
Iron
put one in my
Woman.
hair, or Iron Woman, Iron Person, and all of the grown-ups kept coming over and being like, "Hey, what's that thing that's lighting up all rainbow and cool?" And we're like, Student zone only." I got to sneak one off because I was helping with the zone, but they're so cool. Our coworker Nina, also a cloud advocate, has made, I think, earrings with them and does a bunch of tutorials online. I have a whole book I bought on it. I'm so excited to play with mine. But, just like we
That's
said,
awesome.
tangible things that you can hold and play with. So, Circuit Playground's
Yes.
the best.
Yes, and so Microbit's one of the products, Circuit Playgrounds by Adafruit, which is another company. You see Minecraft on there. I think everybody has heard of Minecraft. Probably everybody's played Minecraft, so there are some great tutorials there as well. And then if we scroll down to this next row, Lego Mindstorms, Chloe, that was actually my first introduction to coding and robotics. That there's different tutorials and you teach the little robots what to do. There's different components and pieces. So another super cool hands-on way. I know a lot of schools have them. Q is a really neat little robot that can roll around. You can
I
have it
want
do
a
different things.
cue. The cue
We
is
had them
so
in the student zone
cute.
in 2019. They were so fun.
I went to the Living Computer Museum in Seattle and I saw a Q and I was like, this Q is cute. No wonder they call it a, you can't spell cute without Q, truly. Actually, literally.
I think you just came up with their new tagline. Are you sure you're not in marketing? And then, of course, we have arcade on there. So if you are interested in developing games, whether it's the little snake game like we used to play on our brick phones or whatever else your imagination can come up with, you can absolutely do it with MakeCode. And then, Chloe, I haven't gotten to play with the Chibi Chip yet, but I think that's going to be our next project.
I haven't either. It looks very cute. I love the logo. It's like a little winking face. Before we dive into Sarah's project, I wanted to show you all something really quick. Just, I'm a visual learner, Morgan. I like to connect the
Me
dots
too.
visually. I was literally just tweeting about how obsessed I am with GitHub Desktop because it's changed my life. It's all visual. Anyway, this microbit here is this flat thing, right? And you're like, Chloe, what do I do with this? Like, okay, I can make it light up, but it's so small. Well, guess what?
Yeah.
Okay, so I bought this thing from Pimoroni. It was this kit that came with a microbit, right? And this right here is just a microbit. It's a microbit that is plugged in.
A
It's got
microbit
this
on a
little,
bear?
it's a microbit on a bear. This is just a plastic bear that came with the kit that I, screwed together here. It's got this LED screen. And what I did, Morgan, is I got my microbit, I programmed it in my browser. I didn't even have to download anything. We'll show you the browser
Oh.
in a second, y'all. I put a recipe in there. It's not even like code. It was just drag and drop. And I was like, I want this to say, hi, my name is Chloe. I work at Microsoft. So when I go to conferences, people will know who I am. And let's see, it'll be a little, so I turn it on. There's a screen going on. It's got a smiley face. It says, hi, I'm Chloe. I work at Microsoft. And what my code is doing, and we'll look at the code in just a second because I actually have it, is I say, show the smiley, scroll this across the screen, then turn into a heart, then have a little Pac-Man go back and forth, then put it back to a smile, then scroll. And Morgan, when I tell you this is a toy for kids, obviously it's got these stickers on it. I feel like a child at heart. Got all these
Hey,
toys
I
here.
like stickers.
But when I used to wear this at conferences, so many grown-ups wanted this. This is very cool.
Yeah,
It's by no means like a toy, in my opinion. It is truly coding, and let me show you why it's actually coding, Morgan.
that is a
So
professional device, Chloe.
this is a professional device that I would wear. I am 31 years old. I would go to conferences and give keynotes and wear this. So truly, this is a professional device. So see here in my microbit, I clicked on microbit here, and I've got all these
Mhm.
different projects that I've been playing with. And I've got this one, Hi Chloe, and this is actually the real code that I wrote in my browser that I then saved onto this little microbit and put in here. So literally what we just talked about, it says forever, which means forever until I turn it off, essentially. While true, show this smiley face, which is what it did, for 1,000 milliseconds. Scroll this thing. So really, all I did is just drag these things over here. And this may not look like code, but look at this. Click on this little JavaScript tab. Here is what it looks
Magic.
like as code. This is
Coding
like,
magic.
I coded this. I coded this.
What happens when you click that little that little drop down box, Chloe?
Well, it'll show me the code in Python. What? Like how?
How?
Magic.
Just
Magic,
so cool.
right? So
So
this
cool.
is really cool also, I think, for anybody who's new to programming, getting a microbit, you do not need a microbit to actually do this. This is
Nope.
all free in the browser. If you want to play around and be like, okay, what would it look like? Let's do an example together, actually. I'm going to make a new one, Morgan. Actually, I made one the other day for Build Smile, where I made this little smiley face for the project we're about to talk about. And all I did was just drag things over here,
Mhm.
these little LEDs, and I dragged
Okay.
them here. That's all that I did. But let's show the people what we would like them to play with during our session today. I am going to toggle over. If you've never seen a GitHub repo before, if this is foreign to you, don't worry. Welcome. This is your first GitHub repo.
And if you're not familiar with GitHub, we will have the recording posted online later from the intro session to GitHub that we had earlier in the student zone.
Oh my gosh, perfect. They'll be better at GitHub than I am. So this is a repo, which is basically where we store our code, right, Morgan? This is where we put all our
Mhm.
files, we upload it to the internet, we're able to share and collaborate on things. And our friend Sarah, our coworker, made this really cool thing where you can make your mark at the student zone. And this is so easy, y'all. You can just go to this repo, github.com/Dr. Guthels/make your mark.
It's
And
also in the chat.
it's also in the chat. So go in the chat and you can contribute to this awesome constellation that Sarah has made. So to get inspired, we have some example constellations that you can take a look at over
Ooh,
here.
it's like a whole universe.
She's got the Scorpio, the Capricorn, the Gemini, everything. She's got
What are
all of the
you,
different.
Chloe?
Okay, that's a good question. I've been a Virgo my whole life, and then there was this period of time where people were like, Virgos are not in this
No,
date range anymore. Okay.
no, that new stuff doesn't count. It's old school. So you're a Virgo?
I am a Virgo. So this is
Okay.
what a Virgo would look like in here. So here's a simulator
We're
of it.
like, woo.
Here's the blocks. Here's what it looks like in JavaScript. A lot prettier, I think, as the blocks, or as a simulator, I should say. But what you can do, y'all, is go into MakeCode. You can go to the repo if you want to get all the links here. Go into MakeCode and help us create a universe. Now, Morgan, I know this sounds really difficult to create a universe. like very Horton Hears a Who, right? I'm thinking of little Who's on Whoville,
Yeah.
screaming up, trying to get help. But this is our little universe that we're making. So any constellation that y'all make right now in the chat live, we got about 15 minutes here. We can add it to our universe. So what's really cool is I can take my smiley face and I can share that link and put it right here in the constellation. Now, Morgan, I know earlier we were playing around with some of them. We're adding our own little I'm gonna add a couple of these. I'm gonna add some cool. I'm gonna add one of mine. How about
Can
we
I make
both
some
make some?
too? I'm gonna make some in the background.
Make
And
me some.
then can I just send you the link
Send
and
me the
we can just
link.
add it?
We'll put it in. I'm gonna add my smile. I made this smile ahead of time. I guess I could add a nose to it or something. Let's see. Should I add a nose? What do y'all think I should do? Should I move the eyes to the left? We could try that.
Let's
Let's see.
add a nose.
Let's add
Oh,
a nose. How would we do a nose? I am not great at the XY axis. So you're gonna have to help me out here, Morgan.
well, Chloe, let's just start with plot.
Okay, so we've got all these options here. Oh wait, Morgan, hold on. I forgot to tell the lovely students that you can also make songs in Microbit. I should mention this. So we're only using the LEDs. But you hear that? This is a song that I wrote in Microbit. And
Awesome.
literally just using these drag and drop things. So you can, of
So
course,
many different things to do.
you can make whatever you want in
We don't
using.
have sound for the universe quite yet, though.
We don't have sound for the universe, although this entire project is open sourced. Which, if you don't know what open source is, Morgan, do you want to explain open source to our students? I bet we've got some newbies to open source here.
And I think people have actually been talking about open source in the chat, Chloe. That they love that the nature of all of this is open source. And open source essentially means that all of the code is out there, that you can go dig into it. And if you're on GitHub, you can fork from the repo, and then you can actually update it and create your own code and add to it. And let's say you make some brand new feature, you would actually be able to push that back to the main repo. And if your changes can be accepted, and so if you were to go and push that back to Sarah's repo, or Dr. Guthels, as we like to call her, then you would actually be able to help expand our universe and make it super cool. So we'll talk a little bit more about that later, but it is a great way to get involved and a great way to practice coding.
Yeah, it's being able to contribute to a GitHub repo and contribute to open source is great practice for the real world.
It is.
Okay, so I need an LED. Let's see. So right now, to make my smiley, I have plot X and Y with all these different numbers, and those are all of the red lights that are lighting up on this thing. So I'm gonna guess I'm gonna need another plot.
Yep.
And I'm gonna put it over here. And I guess it doesn't matter what order I put it in.
Nope, because it's just on start, and so the computer is just going to do all of that at once.
Okay. What
all
numbers should I put here?
For anybody that's done any sort of graphing before, which I'm guessing a lot of you have, it's just like that, where you have your x-axis and your y-axis. The interesting thing, though, is that we're not going to start counting at 1. We actually are going to start counting at 0. And so that top left-hand corner there is 0, 0.
Okay. Okay. So if I put 0, 0 in here and I hit play, it's got a little kind of tear, maybe, or maybe it's just a long I. Okay, so 0, 0 is there. So I think a nose, we'd probably have to put it on.
I think we need to move it over 2 to the left. But remember, Chloe, we started at 0. So it would be 0, 1, 2.
So like that? No.
Let's see. Nope, one more, Chloe.
Okay, because I have 2 of the same one, so I need 1. Let's see, 1, 0, 1, 2, because it's 0 indexed, right? Nose. Ugh.
Nope.
Now it's got
you went on the wrong axis, Chloe.
Oh my goodness.
All right, let's go back to it. So the X, we know we need to shift over one more. So let's shift the X over to 2.
Okay.
And let's shift that Y back to 0.
2. Okay, first I want to see what that looks like. 2, 2.
Because now you're going down. Wait, but now, Chloe, just like when we're coding, right? It's good to try out different things, to iterate, to see what works and to see what doesn't work. So now we know we've been able to shift it over and we've been able to shift it down, but I think it's just a little bit too much. So maybe we go back up on the y-axis, just 1. So let's change it from 2 to 1.
2, 1.
There it is.
I love it. I love
Nicely
it.
done.
It's a lot
Nicely
more
done.
expressive now. I like this a
Is.
lot.
So
Okay,
let's add it to our universe, Chloe.
perfect. Okay, so I'm going to save this
Save it and
and
then share it, Chloe. That's the key here, is that
okay.
if anybody out there, it's up at the top right next to microbit and home. If anybody out there is following along and you're creating your own, you're going to need to share and publish the project. And then you can copy this link. And if we go back over to our universe, which you should all have the link to this in the chat, you can just put it in that little box there and press add stars.
There we go.
And then what it's going to do is it's actually going to pull that URL that we just shared. And look, there it is, Chloe, our smiley face.
I just got a very important message in the chat from that a coworker of ours has made coffee.
What?
And I need coffee.
I need coffee too.
I need to look at the simulator of this.
It moves.
Okay.
So what happens, I wonder, since it moves, Chloe, what happens if we put it into our universe? Do you think it can scale like that?
I don't know.
Let's try it.
I'm scared.
Let's try it, Chloe.
Where do
If
I
we break it all, then
share
that's
from
okay.
here?
So this is already the sharing link. Max
Oh,
published it for us.
Cool.
So just
cool.
copy that and let's go ahead and throw it into our universe.
Okay. Okay. Da, da, da,
And
da.
remember, all of you can do this too.
Okay, the animation works. We don't even
It
need.
moves.
We do not even need. This is great.
That's
Now
so
our
cool.
no one needs to even contribute to the repo to make it animate because we've got coffee in our constellation. This is the
And
best.
at this time of day, that's all we need.
Truly.
Chloe, I think you make an excellent point that it's great that the animated version worked. But as you can see, it's a pretty simple layout. And when we were chatting with Sarah, she's like, okay, I can imagine looking at the night sky like it's a universe. And it would be so cool to see the different constellations spread throughout the sky. And maybe there can be some like sound of the universe like you were showing earlier. So let's say if we have some more experienced developers out there that maybe MakeCode is pretty easy for you, can toggle around with it, but you want to do something more, you want to make your mark, make a contribution. Well, that's this point of the session. So we would love to invite you to join our open source fund. Go to that GitHub repo. Do you want to bring that back up? Dr.
Yes.
Beckles' repo.
This one
And
right
so
here.
you can actually help us create the universe, help us build out the sky, help us be able to randomly arrange the our different constellations.
And coffee.
And the coffee, of course, maybe the most important constellation of all. But we would love to see what you can help us create. Of course, we'll be on here. Sarah will be making merges. And also share with us what you're creating on social, whether that's one of the constellations you've created or something that you are adding to our GitHub here. And Chloe, I think earlier during build, we heard about this thing called Code Tour.
Okay, I got really excited. Last night, our coworker Sarah was like, there's this thing called Code Tour. I was like, is it anything like Star Tours at Disneyland?
That was
I'm
my
very
first thought
interested, which is very relevant because we're dealing with constellations here. But
True.
I just learned about Code Tour. It's so cool. It's so cool. Oh my gosh.
All right, can you show us?
Yes, yes. So Sarah made an awesome code tour here, and you can use Code Tour to explore code within VS Code. Now, I know as a developer, I try to be good. I try to be really good about putting notes in my code and be like, this is how the code works. If you're coming to this code later, sometimes I need notes for my own code. I'm like, what was I thinking? What was I writing
You
here?
should.
What does
You
this
should
function
always be
do?
adding comments.
But what's cool is in Visual Studio, there's a thing called Code Tour. So if you just add the Code Tour extension here and you go into this repo, you can actually just click on this and it will give you a Code Tour. Start Code Tour here, this little play button, and it'll walk you through the code. And I can't wait to do that later because, as I said, I'm a visual learner. I love a little guidance when I'm learning. So this is such
Yeah,
a great way to walk through the code and see and we're not talking about how to do MakeCode here. We're talking about how Sarah actually built everything that makes this. So if
this
you're thinking to
happened.
yourself, you know what, Sarah's constellation thing is really cool, but I want to get all of my friends for, let's say, Morgan's birthday's coming up, and we're like, let's do a surprise birthday website where we get all of her friends to make a make code design. You could totally repurpose this. You could use
Thanks, Chloe.
Dr. Guthel's repo here. Use it as a template if you want. You can fork the repo. If you don't know what forking a repo is, it's not eating it. Go watch the GitHub session from earlier. It's
It's
not
with
as
the VS Code
delicious.
session. That's how
It
we
is.
know you already have it installed.
Yeah. So I'm just so excited because maybe next year, like by the time build 2035, maybe the constellation will be gigantic. People will have
I sure hope
contributed
so.
to it over the years. But yeah, I'm so excited to play with Code Tour. That is such a cool feature that
Me
I
too.
just learned about.
And
Um,
actually, Chloe, that kind of leads us to one of our coworkers, Justin. He asked in the chat a little while ago of what people would want to see in the student zone and in our other student programs moving forward. People said IoT and Raspberry Pi. They want more development, lots of fun stuff. Web apps, ethical AI, which I think is fascinating and
yes.
very important. So we are going to keep building and we are going to keep sharing all of this content, and we would love to see how you apply it. And of course, let us know what you want to see too.
Yeah, and join us throughout the year because just like Morgan said, we have the Microsoft Student Ambassador Program, we have the Imagine Cup, and of course, all of the cloud advocates are tweeting and sharing and Instagramming and streaming and doing all sorts of amazing things on Learn TV, sharing those things out. So I can't wait. I think that's all of those suggestions are great. IoT, ethical AI. I want to learn a lot about
Amazing.
machine learning this year. That's on my list of things I want to learn more about.
I hope you do. And people can follow along with us too. I think that in the chat they put our handles on Twitter and Instagram and all that kind of good stuff. So follow along. We have some amazing content coming up. We always make sure to share it on there. And Chloe, I think a really awesome place for students to find content that already exists is on Microsoft Learn.
Yes. Okay. So thank you. I almost forgot. I have a friend here hanging out with me. Of course, we found out the name, y'all. It's Doxy. The name of this mascot is Doxy, the
So cute.
mascot of Microsoft Learn, of course. But truly, I go on Microsoft Learn and I learn things all the time. I learned how to do a logic app on there the other day. I taught myself Azure Functions through Microsoft Learn, and I build so many things with that today. So it's a great
Yes.
free. I love like little badges, like when I complete things, and anytime I
Yes, me
complete a module,
too.
I'm like,
Like,
I get the little
yes.
badge. But we even have like beginner JavaScript, intro to JavaScript. We've got, oh my gosh, all sorts
Python,
of
space stuff. We actually made a
IoT.
collection for the students here at Build. So check out that link. I know that they've put that in the chat as well. Great, great place to start. And Chloe, it looks like we actually have a community submission already.
Okay, I'm grabbing the
So
link.
I just put it in the chat for you. And so let's show that real quick. Well, we have just a couple minutes left.
Okay, I hope it's animated. I'm so excited because that was so exciting adding this
See.
coffee. I'm adding a star. Okay, perfect. It's
Whoa,
an
that is so
arrow
cool.
that's pointing down. I love it. Down,
I like the
maybe down to
rhythm.
earth.
Yes. Thank you
I love
so much for
this.
sharing your contribution.
Our
That is so fun.
constellation is coming along. Or sorry, our universe full of constellations. Our universe full of constellations and coffee. So maybe if someone's looking for a very easy way to contribute to their first GitHub repo, you could maybe submit a pull request to change the add stars button to say add anything. I don't know, add item. Because we've got coffee and arrows on here now.
That's
This is
true.
very cool. I love this.
Very
This
cool.
our
Thank you
art.
so much for already contributing. This is the thing I love about open source and the student zone and build is we can do all of these things live and do all of these things together. And Chloe, it's just about time for us to wrap up. I cannot believe it. I know in the chat, I know in the chat, uh, our friend Sarah just posted some links that are going to be super helpful to you moving forward. And also, please make sure that you fill out the session evaluation, both for this session and all of the sessions that you attended in the Student Zone at Build. It gives us really, really great insight into what you learned, what you want to learn about, and so we can get, we can do even better in the future to show you what you want.
Yeah.
And also just a couple reminders of other reminders before we close out. Make sure you check out the Cloud Skills Challenge. If you haven't already, check out Dev Mixtape 1 on there. There's an awesome opportunity to win some prizes. And then lastly, we would just like to say thank you. Thank you to all of the attendees, everybody that watched with us, everybody that was in the chat with us, whether you caught one session or all of them. If you only caught one, we hope you'll go back and watch the others. But I would also, Chloe, love to give a big thank you to our team who has put in months of effort into getting this already. The content, the people behind the scenes, the Microsoft Studios, thank you so much. We hope you enjoyed the Student Zone at Build, and we'll see you next year.
See you next
Bye.
year, y'all.